My father, in order to pay off his debts, schemed to send me to a place where the elite indulge in their pleasures. Luckily, my childhood friend was also there. Just when I was about to ask him for help, a few lines of text suddenly floated in front of my eyes. Poor protagonist. Don't ask your childhood friend for help. He's actually planning to use your heart for his true love. Quick, ask the one on the far left. He's older and will take care of you. Don't hesitate. He's here just for you, even if he looks fierce. Call him Sam and he'll give his life for you. Without hesitation, I scrambled over to the man mentioned by the text, clinging to his feet and pleading, Sam, please be gentle with me. Chapter 1. Gentlemen, I have brought my daughter. Now, can you let my family go? When I groggily opened my eyes, I heard my father saying these words. I wanted to resist with all my might, but somehow, I had no strength left in my body. I could only lie on the ground, unable to move. Seeing that I was awake, my father forcefully untied the rope around my feet and whispered in my ear like a demon, I've raised you all these years. It's time to repay me. After saying that, he shoved a pill into my mouth and walked away without looking back. This girl is really a beauty. I wonder how it feels to play with her. She's even a star. Let's take more pictures later. The room filled with nauseating, mocking remarks. I was instantly overwhelmed by fear and despair. I realized he had brought me to a place where the elite indulged in their pleasures. Those brought here as playthings either ended up ruined or dead, but my own father was planning to trade me with these people in exchange for his future. Driven by the desire to survive, I forced myself to get up, finally seeing the surroundings clearly. Not far from me was a row of sofas, occupied by men in suits. The lighting was dim, so I couldn't see everyone's face clearly, but those whose faces I could make out were looking at me as if I were a product, making me feel disgusted. I had been drugged, and my hands were still tied. Moreover, this place was heavily guarded, leaving no chance of escape. Just as I was about to resign myself to my fate, a familiar voice rang out, Julia, don't be afraid. I recognized the voice. It was Bruno, my childhood friend. He stood up from the crowd like a god, his face unable to hide his joy. It was as if he was saying, I'm here to take you home. As he approached me, a few lines of text suddenly floated before my eyes. Chapter 2. What a performance. The Oscars owe him a trophy. Dear protagonist, your childhood friend is the male lead, but his true love is the second female lead. He's planning to sacrifice you to save her. I thought I was seeing things and blinked hard. When I opened my eyes again, the text was still there. Poor protagonist. Don't ask your childhood friend for help. He's planning to use your heart for his true love. Don't be deceived by this scumbag. He and your father have been acting in this scene together. Now I believed it. Because Bruno really did have a true love with a heart condition. And because of this true love, a rift had grown between us. Even though we had been close since childhood, he said it was to avoid misunderstandings. Not long ago, he suddenly took me for a full medical checkup, saying he was concerned about my health. I even grinned like a fool at the time, thinking that I could get a free checkup while also taking care of my health. So I happily went along. Joining us for the medical exam was my father, who had already gone through a checkup not long ago. So why was my dad coming along? And what was his connection with all this? Oh my, the more I thought about it, the scarier it seemed. Now Bruno was already in front of me, reaching out his hand, and I hesitated. Staying here would mean being played to death. Going with him would mean getting my heart cut out and dying. Either way, I was going to die. Just then, the floating text became lively. Here he comes. Here he comes. The second male lead has finally arrived. Quick, ask the one on the far left. He's older and will take care of you. Not that much older. Just 9 years your senior. Cling to his leg, and you'll definitely survive. Don't hesitate. He's here just for you. Even if he looks fierce, call him Sam, and he'll give his life for you. My eyes lit up in an instant because I had found a lifeline. When faced with I'll give my life for you or give me your life, any sane person would choose the former. You rotten scumbag. Get lost. I don't know where I got the strength, but I lifted my leg and kicked Bruno, knocking him to the ground. Then, under the shocked gazes of everyone, I scrambled over to the man that the text had mentioned, clinging to his feet. I knew this was my only chance to survive, so I used a pleading tone, afraid he might refuse. "Sam, please be gentle with me." Only after saying it did I realize how shameful those words sounded. Chapter 3. After a few seconds of silence in the air, I heard a light chuckle above me, and then a large hand firmly gripped my chin, forcing me to look up. In an instant, I was met with a pair of mesmerizing, almond-shaped eyes. The man's lips were smiling, but there was no hint of warmth in his eyes. He looked intimidating, yet his flawless, perfect face made it impossible to look away. "Give me a reason to be gentle with you." He increased the pressure, causing a sharp pain, and I suddenly realized that my life was still in his hands. Sure enough, the more charming they are, the more dangerous they can be. The floating text started offering advice again. "Don't be fooled by him. He's pretending to be calm, but inside he's screaming like a groundhog. Say you love him. Quick. Say you love him. He might look like a seasoned player, but he's actually a pure-hearted guy, and he can't handle teasing." As an actress who has been in the entertainment industry for years, playing the role of someone deeply in love was a basic skill. So I went with the first rule of acting: crying scenes must be quick, and you have to create your own atmosphere. At this moment, I could already feel the tears welling up in my eyes, and my voice trembled with grievance. "Because I love you. You know, ever since I was little, my father didn't care for me, and my mother didn't love me. I didn't know what love was until I saw you. My heart, my lungs, every organ in my body is telling me I love you." I closed my eyes and let the tears fall, continuing, "If you don't want me, that's fine. I can go with them instead." To my surprise, the man who had been so calm just moments ago suddenly became enraged by something I said. He took off his suit jacket and wrapped it around me, asserting his dominance to the others. "Besides me, who else do you want to go with? Who would dare take what's mine? Be good and stay with me, and I'll protect you for life. And I assume no one here has any objections, right?" The last sentence was laced with a threat, as if he was ready to kill anyone who dared to defy him. I covered my face and trembled, pretending to cry, but in reality, I was laughing like crazy. In the capital's elite circles, only the mysterious Mr. Sam could act so boldly. He was so elusive that there wasn't a single photo of him online. Today was the first time I'd seen what he looked like. His power and influence were beyond description. If I could have someone like him as my backer, then life would be a breeze. As I laughed, my body began to feel hotter and hotter. I thought it was just the adrenaline rush from being so excited, so I didn't pay much attention and continued smiling, until it felt like my very life was burning up. Oh no! I suddenly remembered that my vile father had fed me a pill before he left. The man immediately noticed something was wrong and grabbed my hands, which were wildly clawing at him. "Little wildcat, what are you trying to do?" My eyes were clouded with desire, my mind filled with censored thoughts. "Of course, I want to sleep with you, protagonist. Go easy on the flirting. We only have this one pure-hearted Sam. Don't break him." This is intense. Sam's ears are turning red. Chapter 4. Sam gently picked me up in his arms, and the sudden sensation of being weightless made me instinctively wrap my arms around his neck. The cool touch eased my fever, making me want to touch him even more. My hands began to wander down his back. Sam softly coaxed, "Be good, and I'll let you touch me when we get home." Then he looked up, smiling coldly at the people around us. "I don't want to hear anyone talking about what happened to Julia here today. If anyone can't keep their mouth shut, I can always pay them a personal visit." Everyone quickly nodded in agreement, promising to take the secret to their graves, except for Bruno, who clenched his fists, looking unwilling. In the end, he stubbornly called out to Sam, who was about to leave. "Sam." Sam's expression turned dangerously dark as he cut Bruno off. "Do you have a problem?" Bruno was self-aware enough to know that if Sam wanted to take me away, no one could stop him. He could only give up. No. Chapter 5. Sam carefully placed me in the car and instructed the driver to drive quickly. "I'm hot. Hurry and let me cool off." I didn't care that there were other people in the car. I started to tug at Sam's clothes, hoping to find some relief from the heat. But there was always a hand stopping me, getting increasingly frustrated. I wanted to shout in anger, but what came out was a soft, gentle voice. "Don't move, let me do it." After saying that, I could feel the person holding me tense up. I was also poked in the waist, causing some discomfort, so I reached down to figure out what it was. The result was my hands being caught and firmly held down. Sam's eyes darkened, and in a husky, low voice, he asked, "Who am I?" Without thinking, I responded, "A handsome guy." The speaker seemed a bit displeased. "You don't even know who I am. Yet you dare to start taking off clothes. What do you plan to do after undressing?" "I want to take a little penguin, mix concrete with pasta, and dump it into the Pacific Ocean, then put on a bikini and go find a polar bear to dance hand in hand." My dear Julia, even when you're out of it, you can still speak so coherently. Although his tone was indulgent, I only caught the part about being out of it and thought he was scolding me. I whimpered softly, "You're being mean to me, and I feel awful." "All right, we're almost there." He wasn't lying. The car soon drove into the grounds of a large villa. Chapter 6. When I was finally laid onto the soft bed, I couldn't hold back the burning heat anymore. I wrapped my arms tightly around his neck, not letting him leave. Crying, I poured out my grievances. "Why did it take you so long to get here? I'm suffering. Who am I?" I didn't understand why Sam was so persistent in asking this question. But this time, I opened my eyes and looked at the man in front of me. "Sam, correct answer. How about I let Julia have me as a reward?" He gently kissed the tears at the corner of my eyes as he began to unbutton his shirt. While doing so, he murmured words I didn't quite understand. This time, I finally made it in time. "Sweet Julia, don't leave me again, okay? I won't let anyone who hurts Julia get away." He kept repeating my name, like a treasure he had regained, afraid of losing it again. Chapter 7. When I woke up, my whole body was sore. Last night, Sam was like an insatiable beast, as if he was the one who had been drugged. Not me. The floating text started appearing again, flashing rapidly. "What's going on?" It was cut to black at the crucial moment. What could possibly be inappropriate for me, a premium member, to see? I'm not short on money, so bring up the parts that were blacked out last night. Look at the marks on the protagonist's neck. You can tell the battle was intense. My face flushed bright red, and I quickly pulled the sheets up to cover everything below my head. Then I continued to read the floating text, finding it more and more amusing. It provided me with information I wouldn't otherwise know, like having cheat codes for life. After all, life doesn't come with rehearsals. Every day is live. Now I have a special skill, so why not embrace it? I didn't mind its presence at all. I picked up the phone beside me, used face recognition to unlock it, and checked the trending topics. In the age of the internet, as a celebrity, any small incident could easily be plastered online. So, I was worried that what happened yesterday might be exposed by someone with ulterior motives, which would ruin my career. Luckily, there was no mention of my name, but there were gossip stories about other celebrities, which I clicked on one by one. Suddenly, a browser pop-up appeared, and I accidentally clicked on it. The title read, "Take care of her like you would a flower." I was confused and hit the back button to return to the browser's search bar. When I saw the browsing history, I was even more shocked. Hashtag what to pay attention to the first time hashtag. Hashtag how to make it more comfortable hashtag. Oh my, what kind of suggestive phrases are these? And how did they end up in my search history? Chapter 8. You're holding my phone. I didn't know when Sam had appeared at the door, but he stood there with a slight smile tugging at his lips, his eyes fixed intently on me. Startled, I accidentally flung the phone away. Oh no, I forgot to press back. The phone was still on the page with the search history. If Sam saw it, wouldn't he know I found out his secret? Would he silence me? I shivered involuntarily, and my mind raced to find an excuse. My mouth, following my brain, blurted out everything I was thinking. The first time. You know, it's normal to be inexperienced, but I enjoyed it, so I'm definitely up for next time. Julia, how can you say that with such a straight face? I bet Julia is going to toss him a 200 yuan tip in style. Sam squinted slightly, giving a look that sent a chill down my spine. It seemed I didn't compliment him the right way. Well, if I couldn't praise his skills, I could at least compliment his looks. I softened my tone, pretending to be mysterious. Sam, do you know why dinosaurs went extinct? Because their arms were too short, and they couldn't applaud when they saw your beauty. He furrowed his brows and clicked his tongue, sounding a bit regretful. Looks like I didn't try hard enough last night if you still have so much energy. As he spoke, he took long strides toward me, his hands behind his back, hiding something. I immediately shut my mouth, watching his actions closely, until he placed a bowl of noodles on the table. Your favorite, hot and sour noodles with a fried egg, from that place in Alley. The anxiety in my heart finally eased. But the next second, I was on alert again. How did he know I loved the hot and sour noodles from that alley, and that I always added a fried egg? Have you been investigating me? Sam carefully unwrapped the outer packaging and then stirred the noodles, just as I would when eating them. The process was identical to mine. I like that place too. We ran into each other a few times. You just don't remember. I was surprised. That's impossible. Someone who looks like you, I'd remember after just one encounter, let alone a few. Sam's brows furrowed slightly, and I knew better than to keep talking, so I quickly shut up. As expected, a man's heart is as unfathomable as a needle in the ocean. He's impossible to figure out, so I decided not to even try. I quietly finished the noodles, not even leaving a drop of soup behind. After I finished, Sam said he had to go to the office to deal with some matters. Before leaving, he repeatedly told me not to go out and said if I needed to go anywhere, to wait for him to take me when he got back. He didn't explain why, but I had a scene to shoot today, and if I didn't show up, I'd have to pay a huge penalty fee. Besides, my agent had called dozens of times while I was still unconscious, urging me to show up. So, after Sam left, I quietly took a taxi to the filming location. Chapter 9. Since it was a historical drama, getting into makeup and costume took a long time. Plus, I was exhausted from last night, so I couldn't help but doze off. I was groggily awakened by someone tapping me, and it turned out to be the makeup artist. All done. The makeup artist seemed like they'd swallowed a bomb today, speaking with an irritable tone, but I didn't pay much attention. Admiring my reflection in the mirror, I quickly noticed something was wrong. I was playing the main villainess, and my look was supposed to be more seductive, but the reflection in the mirror showed a pure, innocent style, with mostly white headpieces. The more I looked, the more it resembled the protagonist's makeup. I grabbed the makeup artist, who was about to leave, and asked, "Isn't this the wrong makeup? This looks like the leads." The makeup artist gave me a disdainful look, as if avoiding the plague, and moved away. The director's orders. I don't know the details. I was utterly confused. What had happened to make everyone treat me so coldly? With no other choice, I ran to ask the director, but before I could find him, someone with the same makeup style blocked my way. "Sis, I'm afraid today might be a bit inconvenient for you." It was none other than the lead actress of the show, Bruno's true love, the one with the heart condition. Chapter 10. Every time she called me sis, I knew she was about to stir up trouble. "What were you doing?" Celine saw that no one was around and didn't bother pretending anymore. She let out a sneer, her eyes filled with resentment. "Do you still think you're a rich lady? Your family sold you off, so stop putting on airs." Looking at her, so different from her usual delicate demeanor, I just felt baffled. "Let me clarify something. I have nothing to do with that so-called family anymore. And as far as I remember, I've never done anything to provoke Miss Celine. So why such hostility toward me?" Celine seemed to be triggered, her emotions growing more agitated. "Why should everyone revolve around you? They should all be mine." I shot back, equally irritated. "Revolve around? What? You think they're a merry-go-round? Honestly, who can understand this? Even a gold miner wouldn't find such pure nuggets. But here I am stumbling across one." Seeing Bruno approaching us from a distance, I smirked and reminded Celine, "Look, Bruno's coming. Now you can ask him why he wants to be a merry-go-round." I have to admit, while Celine's acting isn't great on set. She's a master off-screen. The moment she heard me mention Bruno was coming, she immediately clutched her heart and reverted to her frail, helpless persona. You know I have a heart condition, and there are a few wirework scenes for which they haven't found a stunt double yet. The director noticed you and I have similar builds, so they decided you would temporarily be my double. Julia, please don't be upset. Bruno, who had just arrived, caught the end of her explanation. He frowned, expressing his displeasure. Julia, be more generous. What's wrong with helping out Celine? I slowly raised my phone, which had been recording the entire conversation, and pretended to be concerned. Oh dear, Celine, you're not trying to scam me, are you? I recorded everything we just said. Celine's face darkened, and she became visibly flustered, forgetting all about her sickly act. She shoved Bruno aside and tried to grab my phone. She knew that if I released the video, her carefully crafted image of the delicate, innocent girl would completely crumble, and she had worked hard to build that. But there was no way I'd let her succeed. With a quick turn, she missed her chance to grab it. Recently, I've been obsessed with the old version of Dream of the Red Chamber, and the situation made me want to channel my inner Lin Dayu. I mimicked her tone and expression, sarcastically saying, "Oh my, little sister, didn't you say you had a heart condition? How come you've got the strength of an ox?" Seeing his beloved getting bullied, Bruno was distressed. Enough. Julia, what on earth are you trying to pull? Look at that. How one little comment could make Big Brother so anxious. Little sister's leaving now, so don't go around biting people randomly, okay? Sometimes, being cheeky is just so satisfying. Chapter 11. I felt like I had just won a battle, happily walking towards the set, and then I got slapped by reality. The director threw the script on the ground in anger, pointing at me as he yelled, "Either do the shoot or leave." There are plenty of people who would love to play villainous. The director seemed to think of something and softened his tone. You just have to be a stunt double this one time. It's a small thing, or else the entire schedule will be delayed. Even though I've been in the entertainment industry for years, without any backing, I've always been in a lukewarm state. Honestly, when I found out that the lead was Celine, I didn't want to take this role. But after reading the script, the villainess's ambition and strong will really drew me in. Especially when she sacrificed herself for the country at the end, it showed the true charm of a strong female character. After much thought, I decided to take the role, never imagining there would be so much drama. But I didn't have any other scripts lined up, and it would definitely be harder to get any in the future. After calming down, I still chose to continue. Fine, just this once. I cooperated with the prop crew and put on the wire harness. Ha ha ha. Merry-go-round. Julia's imagination is going to kill me. I had been wondering why the floating text wasn't showing up. Turns out, there was just a delay. Julia is so smart. Even knew to record it. The crazy duo was fuming. It was so satisfying to watch. The floating texts were all praising me. But slowly, the messages started giving me chills. They were all telling me not to go on the wires. Please don't. Julia, why is the plot happening earlier than it should? Don't fall for it. The wires have been tampered with by the male lead. In your previous life, you got hurt while on the wires, passed out, and he took your heart. What was your previous life? What are these texts even talking about? I can't make sense of any of it. But now it was too late. The director had already called for action. Looking down at the thick layer of foam mats below, I could only recite my lines and brace myself to jump down. In the next life, I will avenge the grudges of the past. Chapter 12. The moment I jumped, a sharp snapping sound echoed across the set. Everyone turned to see the source of the noise and found that one of the wires holding me had snapped. The sudden shift caused me to swing violently, and my landing spot was now off target from the foam mats. Some people frantically tried to grab the ropes to slow my descent. Others hurried to push the foam mats to where I was likely to fall. It seemed chaotic, but everyone was acting in an orderly manner to take emergency measures. In the end, I crashed heavily onto a single layer of foam mat, saving my life but causing me to pass out. Just before my eyes closed, I thought I saw Sam. Chapter 13. I had a dream. In the dream, After my father sold me off, Bruno saved me. Bruno comforted me, telling me not to be afraid and saying that he wanted to marry me. Although he was my childhood friend, I didn't have feelings for him, but seeing how he rescued me in a moment of crisis, I decided to give him a chance. Bruno brought me to his villa, saying it would be our new home and that I could stay there without worry. He was concerned about my health and had doctors give me thorough checkups every day. Over time, faced with his constant care, I started to develop feelings for him, and I agreed to marry him. On the day he proposed, I saw his true love, Celine, crying in the corner, her eyes red from tears. That night, Bruno didn't come home. He said it was something to do with work, but my sixth sense as a woman left me feeling uneasy. I confronted him, and he said that he only loved me in this life and had already cut ties with Celine. Being in love, I believed him. On the day we planned to get our marriage certificate, the director suddenly called me in to film a wire stunt scene. Bruno was so considerate, saying he understood, and even drove me to the set, telling me we'd go get the certificate right after the shoot. But then, the accident happened, the wire snapped, and I fell. When I woke up, I was lying in a hospital. I wanted to move, but I couldn't, because my limbs were tightly restrained. In that instant, fear and unease surged in my heart. Just like the day my father sold me, just like that day, Bruno appeared by my side, as if he were my savior. But this time, the look in his eyes was filled with disgust. Be good, okay? Your heart is about to become Celine's. My father was there too, standing behind him. You've lived a privileged life as a young lady, but my Celine has suffered outside. Now it's time for you to compensate her. Only then did I understand that Bruno had loved Celine all along, and Celine was my father's illegitimate daughter. Out of guilt toward her, he planned to use my life to save hers. Bruno rescuing me had been part of their prearranged trap. In utter despair, the doctor cut open my body without anesthesia and took out my heart. Chapter 14. The dream stopped at the moment my heart was taken. I woke up with a start, instinctively reaching for my chest. It hurt, not a physical pain, but a deep ache where my heart was. My sixth sense told me that it wasn't just a dream. It had really happened. Putting together what the floating text had said, I came to a realization. I had been reborn. The hospital room was eerily quiet, so silent that I felt I could hear my own heartbeat. Desperate to confirm my guess, I asked the floating text, I don't know who you are, why you're sending these messages, or why I can see them, but I believe you're trying to help me. So, I want to ask, have I been reborn? The messages started flooding the screen. Whoa, we can actually interact with the protagonist now? Yes, you've been reborn. Receiving the answer didn't bring me the relief I had imagined. Instead, it deepened my pain. I couldn't believe that my childhood friend, Bruno, and my own father could disregard over 20 years of affection to cut out my heart while I was still alive. What about Sam? What happened to Sam in his last life? I desperately asked about Sam. In the previous life, I didn't know Sam, and I had no idea why he wanted to save me. Now it seemed clear, Sam must have been reborn too. In the previous life, after your beastly father sold you, Sam went there too, but he was a step too late. He thought you liked Bruno, so he didn't interfere. Who would have known Bruno was no good either? Sam always regretted and blamed himself. Sam avenged you by killing everyone who had hurt you. Because the situation was so severe, he was hunted by the police. In the end, he hid by your grave and took his own life. His body wasn't found until a week later, by which time it had already started to rot. The floating messages felt like 1,000 blades slicing across my heart, each cut more painful than the last. The pain was so intense that I almost passed out. I gasped for breath, but each breath only deepened the agony. I couldn't imagine someone as proud as him ending up a fugitive, someone who should have been a shining star above everyone, dying so pitifully by my grave. Sister, it's so tragic. You have to make sure those two scumbags don't get away with this. I will. None of them will escape. Chapter 15. The hospital room door opened, and I immediately tensed up. I relaxed only when I saw that it was Sam. Julia, how are you feeling? I opened my mouth, wanting to call his name, but found I couldn't speak. He gently moved the stray hairs from my face, his fingertips softly wiping away the tears from the corners of my eyes. Are you still feeling unwell? I'll go get the doctor. I shook my head. Right now. I just wanted to be with him. Be good. Let the doctor check on you. I'll stay by your side. I thought about it and nodded. If I didn't get checked, he would never stop worrying, and I didn't want him to be concerned anymore. The doctor gave me a full examination, and the initial diagnosis showed no major issues. The doctor was surprised. It's a miracle that you didn't get seriously hurt after falling from such a height. I smiled politely at the doctor, but I knew the truth. There was no way I could have come out unscathed after falling from such a height. What seemed like chaos after the accident was actually a meticulously coordinated effort. That day, someone just happened to be stationed near the unbroken wire, and someone just happened to place the last layer of foam mat where I was going to fall. Every coincidence was a deliberate arrangement. Those 3 people who wanted my heart needed to make sure I didn't die from the fall, so they could witness my despair and agony when they cut out my heart while I was still alive. What they didn't expect was that Sam would show up again and disrupt their seemingly flawless plan. I knew they wouldn't give up and would scheme again, and I already had my own plan for revenge. Chapter 16. I didn't tell Sam about my rebirth. After being discharged from the hospital, Sam stuck to me all day, not leaving my side for even a moment. Me, I need to go to the bathroom. Sam, I'll wait outside the door. Me, exasperated, I need to take a shower. Sam blushed, then I'll go in and keep watch. Me, at night. There wasn't even half a step of distance between us. Sam, you're being a bit childish. Do you know you're 9 years older than me? Sam, looking aggrieved, are you saying I'm old? I snuggled against him. No. I like that you're older. It means you know how to take care of people, and I really like that. You're the one who started it. So don't complain if you end up crying later. When someone older is sensitive, what can you do? Of course, you pamper him. That's how we spent the entire week. I had nothing to do. But Sam was busy with a lot of things. He withdrew the investment from the show I was filming because I liked the villainous role, and he bought the rights to the production. As for the director, he got caught for tax evasion and other inappropriate behavior and ended up getting sent away. The person who deliberately damaged the props also got dealt with. But this wasn't the outcome I wanted. I wasn't satisfied with Bruno and Celine slipping away so easily. I knew it was time to start implementing my plan. That night, Sam hugged me especially tightly. I have to go abroad for a few days. I'll be gone for 5 days. Be good, okay? Don't go out while I'm away. All right? When I get back, we'll go get our marriage certificate. Everything will be taken care of. I'll handle it for you. Every word Sam said was filled with concern, and I understood what he meant. He wanted to take care of everything for me. Thinking about how, in my past life, Sam avenged me and then took his own life by my grave, my heart twisted in pain. But how could I dare to drag Sam, who belongs on a pedestal, back into the mire again? I closed my eyes to suppress my swirling emotions, and when I opened them again, I met Sam's intense gaze. All right, I'll wait for you. Chapter 17. Bruno's information was so out of touch. It wasn't until the 3rd day after Sam had gone abroad that he messaged me, wanting to meet up. I didn't hesitate to agree. I chose a cafe near the hospital as the meeting spot. You're meeting me alone. Won't your true love be upset? Bruno, who had been keeping his head down, lifted it, trying to appear defensive. Don't be like that. Celine really wants to be your friend. Maybe even he didn't believe those words when he said them. And I certainly didn't. I can't afford a friend who would try to take my life. But I couldn't show my true feelings just yet. I first pretended to be a little surprised, then gently curved my lips into a smile, acting as if I was genuinely pleased. Really? Then let's give her a chance. Where is she? Bruno didn't seem to expect me to agree so readily, and a hint of unease flashed in his eyes. She's at the hospital right now. If you want to. I didn't give him a chance to finish. I picked up my bag and stood up, looking as if I couldn't wait. It's not far from here, so I'll go see her. All right. Chapter 18. Bruno took me to the hospital, and he seemed very uneasy. He was so guilty that he couldn't even look at me, avoiding eye contact as he spoke. I pretended to be cautious and stopped. pointing to the surgery room ahead as I asked, "Isn't that a surgery room up ahead? Why are you bringing me here?" Bruno, with his back to me, kept his face hidden as he walked ahead and pushed open the doors to the surgery room. "She's inside." I nodded. "Oh, okay. Then." I followed him into the room. Seeing the empty surgery room, I let my fear show, making sure Bruno could notice it. As soon as I entered, I immediately turned around, trying to leave. "There's no one in here." "What are you trying to do?" But Bruno blocked my way, and I watched as he quickly locked the doors. I smirked internally. He wasn't locking away my escape route, he was locking away his own. He turned to face me, and for once, there was a look of guilt on his face. "Julia, I'm really sorry, but without a good heart, Celine won't live much longer, and yours is a match for hers." I screamed in terror. "What are you trying to do?" Bruno pulled out a leather strap, taking slow steps toward me. "Can you give her your heart?" I continued to retreat, forcing a few tears out to make it look like I was genuinely scared and crying. "You're doing something illegal. Do you want to end up in prison? The surveillance has already been tampered with, and I've paid off the doctors. No one will know." I watched as the doctor slowly approached from behind him, and his face overlapped with the one I remembered from my previous life. But this time, it wasn't me who was caught. I suddenly stopped, tilted my head, and gave him a cold, mocking smile, my words dripping with sarcasm. "Really? The surveillance was only just turned off now." "What?" As he voiced his confusion, the sedative was already being injected into his body. The game starts now. Chapter 19. When Bruno woke up again, Celine was lying beside him, and I was sitting between them, casually playing with a small knife. I looked at Bruno with a faint smile. "Awake? What are you going to do?" The tables had turned, and now he was the one asking what I intended to do. I pretended to think and innocently said to him, "The thing you wanted to do but never got around to." Bruno wasn't completely stupid. He quickly understood what I meant, but when he tried to lift his limbs, he realized that I had chained him down, leaving him to struggle desperately on the bed. "This is illegal. Look at that forgetful mind of his." "I already told you, didn't I? The surveillance was turned off after you revealed your plan because this private hospital belongs to Sam." It was very easy for them to cooperate with me. He still refused to give up and shouted at me. "Then what about the doctor?" Annoyed by his noise, I pressed a hand to one ear and said the words that would shatter his hope. "He took your money, so why wouldn't he take mine? I'm not as stingy as you. I paid him double." Celine, who had perhaps been disturbed by all the noise, began to show signs of waking up. I clicked my tongue and said to Bruno, "Look at that. You've woken up your true love. What if her poor little heart can't handle it?" Celine slowly opened her eyes, and when she saw me, her face filled with terror. I raised the small knife and waved it at her. "Hi, it's me." Celine's voice was no longer sweet. It trembled uncontrollably. "How are you still alive?" "Of course I'm alive. Otherwise, how would I get to see you die?" I put on an innocent expression, but the words that left my mouth were venomous. "Look at your delicate skin. If I were to peel it off, would it make the most perfect piece of art in the world?" Under their horrified gazes, my smile grew wilder, more accurately described as maniacal. "It's better to be a little crazy. At least then you can live happily. You wanted to be together forever, didn't you? I'm helping you. If you die together, you'll be together forever. Ha ha ha." Scream louder. Pleading before death is the sweetest music in the world. What do you think? Would the sound of blood gushing from your neck make it even more beautiful? Julia has gone completely wild. My goofy protagonist has turned into a full-blown psycho. "Julia, calm down. You can hand over the evidence to the police. Yeah, if you kill them, you'll get arrested." "What will happen to Sam?" Just as the knife was about to cut Bruno's throat, the door was kicked open. A beam of light streamed in. "Julia, stop." Chapter 20. The moment Sam pushed the door open, he rushed to me within 3 seconds. He took the surgical knife from my hand and pulled me tightly into his arms. "Julia, it's okay. It's okay. I'm back." I didn't want to cry. I wanted to be strong in front of Sam, to keep him from worrying. But when someone holds on too tightly, It's like a balloon losing air. They become weak, especially in the face of care from the person they love most. I was afraid he'd think I was disobedient, so I fought back my tears and tried to keep my voice from trembling, timidly asking him, "Will you abandon me because I didn't listen?" Sam cupped my cheeks with both hands, making me look up at him. At this moment, he looked exhausted. His eyes reddened with emotion, and his voice was choked. "I won't blame you. I only blame myself for not protecting you." At that moment, I couldn't hold back any longer and threw myself into his arms, crying uncontrollably. Every time I've been in danger, Sam has always arrived to save me. I'm so lucky to have him pamper me unconditionally. But at the same time, I hate my own helplessness, making him clean up my mess every time. There, Julia, don't cry. We'll hand over the evidence to the police and let them handle it. Sam didn't want me to repeat the mistakes of the past. If I killed them, I'd end up like he did in our previous life, being hunted, but without making them feel the same pain they put us through. I couldn't let go of the hatred in my heart. However, letting the police handle it was the best solution. Okay, we'll hand it over to the police. Chapter 21. That day, Sam transferred all the evidence to the lawyer. The surveillance video from the operating room only captured the part where I lured Bruno into revealing his plan to take my heart. Aside from that, all the other hospital footage could prove that I was coaxed into being there. So, it was certain that Bruno would be convicted, and everyone involved would be brought down with him, except for Celine, who refused to admit anything. Bruno and my father both tried to protect her, claiming that Celine didn't know the full extent of the plan. But that didn't matter. I had my own way of ensuring Celine faced the consequences she deserved. I released the video from that day online, allowing all netizens to witness her true colors. I also gave the entertainment reporters the information about Celine being an illegitimate child. These two pieces of evidence were enough to shatter all the personas she had built over the years, from the pure, innocent girl to the wealthy heiress. Although she tried her best to deny everything, she got caught in an endless cycle of trying to prove her innocence. The netizens weren't easy to fool. Soon, they dug up her past problematic statements, as well as photos and videos showing her ambiguous relationships with certain directors. In the end, she was completely blacklisted from the entertainment industry. Everyone who had hurt me received the punishment they deserved. Chapter 22. After everything had settled, I took the initiative to apologize to Sam. I wore Sam's favorite lace nightgown. My attitude sincere. "Mr. Sam, I promise I'll listen to you obediently from now on." I always felt calling him husband was too cheesy. But Mr. Sam was just perfect. Besides, no matter what I called him, Sam would respond. Sam, who had been busy with work, paused when he looked up and saw me. He cleared his throat twice. "Julia, you don't have to listen to me. Never compromise and try to be someone else for anyone. Even if that someone is me. Just follow your heart, and I'll always be your support." I could see he was trying to act calm, but the redness at the tips of his ears betrayed his true feelings. "Don't like it?" I twirled around, giving him a full view. His soft gaze lingered on me, and the redness from his ears spread across his whole face. "Baby, stop teasing me." Yes. We were now legally married. The book said it helps to strengthen the relationship between spouses. We have a long life ahead. So Mr. Sam, be prepared. The floating messages, which had been absent for a while, appeared again. Sam is probably thinking, young people really know how to play. Please, no black screens this time. I'm begging you. Throwing confetti for a happy ending. Wishing Mr. Sam and Miss Julia a long, happy life together. Thankfully, it's a perfect ending. I wish you two endless happiness. The floating messages gradually faded from my view until they disappeared completely. I knew this meant the book's story had come to an end, but the end of the book didn't mean the end of our story. Our world is still here, and our exciting life continues. Extra 1. Sam wanted to take me on a vacation, and he asked where I wanted to go. An idea popped into my head. I want to climb all 5 sacred mountains in 5 days. Go rafting in Guizhou. Search for the wild man in Shenanjia. And bungee jump off the Macau Tower. After hearing my list, he furrowed his brows, hesitated, and finally said, Are you going on vacation or facing a trial? In the end, all the places I mentioned were categorized by him as danger zones. I clung to his arm, whining, "Please, let's go." He pointed at my belly, helplessly. "Do you remember you're pregnant?" Oh, gosh, I almost forgot. I was already 4 months pregnant, but forgetting about it wasn't something new for me. The baby seemed to be here to repay a debt because, for the past 4 months, I'd had no morning sickness, ate everything happily, and was full of energy. In the end, Sam took me to a small town in Jiangnan. He said it had mountains, water, and fresh air. I added, "Yeah, perfect for retirement." He affectionately ruffled my hair. "Don't jinx me into old age." I gasped. When did you learn to use internet slang? How could I not? When my Julia is 9 years younger than me? What if you start to dislike me? No one but you can put up with my temper, and no one but Sam would indulge me in whatever I wanted to do. Extra 2. The midsummer night was filled with the chirping of cicadas, making the quiet around us even more serene. "Sam, when did you first meet me?" I leaned against his shoulder, enjoying the summer night sky with him. "I gave you your name. What do you think?" I playfully punched him. "That's a bit creepy. How could you have had your eyes on me before I was even born? Your mother and my mother were good friends, and they arranged a marriage between us. But you, this little ingrate, grew up and forgot all about me." "Mr. Sam, didn't I already make it up to you? I even came with a bonus in my belly." "You've made a huge profit, so you can't call me an ingrate anymore." Afraid that my emotions might fluctuate, Sam immediately tried to soothe me. "Good girl, Julia. I was wrong. I didn't ask for more details." And Sam didn't continue down that line of conversation either. We both tacitly avoided mentioning what happened in our previous life. How he first met me, how he fell in love with me, all of that was in the past. The past was mixed with too many unhappy memories, and obsessing over it would only waste the precious moments of happiness we have now. So let's give time some time. Let the past pass, and let the future begin. And then, let's hope for a beautiful future with each other.